Okay, let's see if I can get this one going. I want to do a trade review of a trade I took 2 days ago on BTC, and this is the trade that taught me about mark price stops. Um, as you may or may not know, on FTX, um, your stop is just based on whatever the last price is. So, for example, if your stop is at 40,585 here, as soon as we breach 40,585, you're going to get stopped out. Um, Whereas on, or let's say five, like, because this is low as 502, let's say your stop is at 40,505, right? So if it bounces at 40,000, goes down to 502, you get stopped out immediately. And then if it bounces back up, you're like, it sucks. Life sucks for you. On Bybit, they have what's called a mark price stop order. So what you can do is cause your stop to be taken based on the mark price. And Bybit's mark price is I think it's like an average or a weighted average or a median or some shit. I should probably find out, to be honest. But effectively, it takes prices from other exchanges, so like FTX and BitMEX and things like that. And if the weighted average or whatever number of that is not above 505 or is not below 505, you won't get stopped out, even though the price has gone through 505. So in the event like of something like this, where I don't know that that happened on this candle, but let's assume that it just tapped 502 and then spiked up from there and never retouched that 502 level again, never retouched that 505 level again because of the mark price being above 505, you wouldn't have gotten stopped out, and then you get to participate in this whole move. So anyway, a little bit of foreshadowing. Let's get into it. Obviously, we had this super strong downtrend, right? Let's show you on the daily real quick. I want to be quick about this. I don't want this to take too long, right? We have super major downtrend, and we have this sideways consolidation. Now, initially, that sideways consolidation manifested as a triangle um, that had its resolution here, right? So we had a strong push up, a little bit of like a thrust down. Is this an outside down bar? Not quite, but effectively, sure. And then a bounce back up, but not nearly as strong. And then this rollover, and then this dump candle. So this was the kind of signal that we had two attempts down, and we're going to take a shot at the high. But because this was a triangular consolidation, that excuse me, that dump was short-lived and got bought back up immediately, really and very strongly, right? Now that turns us into a sideways trading range. Okay. So on this bounce, which by the way is a lower low bounce, so from there we probably can expect, especially on the strength of this, we can expect two legs, a second leg up. We can expect as when this leg ends, we'll probably get a second leg up, which is what I was talking about in my other video or in my daily overnight recap this morning, right? Today's the 20th of April. Schmo some. Anyway, we decided that the strength here was so much that definitely I need to take a long here, right? So this is right before daily. This is the new daily open, and we were just looking for a good price action entry, and obviously we had the really sharp bar coming up. We had a previous kind of range consolidation. Let's delete this now, this box, right? We had some previous range consolidation in this area, so it was somewhat expected that we might stall up here. Nevertheless, we tried to stall and immediately busted through, and then started consolidating on the other side of this. Yes, we see that, right? So the trade that I ended up taking is, first of all, I did not take this. This is a small bar, but has really no conviction. It's kind of a doji bar, so I didn't feel super comfortable taking this. Like the very next bar could very easily have done like this and come back down. Excuse me, come back down and taken out the stop that would have had to be underneath here, right? As we can see, that doesn't happen. But no, I did not take this trade. We get this bar that has, that breaks through the top, but then closes red. Again, same type of thing that you can expect to happen. Maybe they take out your stop before continuing higher. We are biased, of course, that we're going to be going higher, yeah? Because this is just too strong. We should definitely get at least some sort of, push a little bit higher. We should not just consolidate at this, 40,500 and then dump back down. If we do dump back down, we'll be dumping back into this range, right? So we have a very clear cut of when we get back into this range. We do not want to get back into this range because then your stop probably has to be a lot lower, and there's no price action stop anywhere on these candles on this 1 hour time frame. So we decided to be patient a little bit more. We get this nice candle that pushes it to the upside, and then here's the inside bar that we want to take a trade off of. And I like this bar because it shows some good strength in terms of the close, and excuse me, is this right? Is this the one? I think this is. I think it has to be, right? Yeah. Um, Sorry, this trade was a couple days ago, but I'm almost certain this is the bar. So let me put the bar here. Um, I'm trying to remember what number my stop was, but I guess this is probably correct. Let me see if there's like on a 15-minute time frame anything that we can see. Did I have any sort of inside bar here that I was able to take? I think the answer is no, right? And let's see, because this is the exchange that I took the trade on. Let's see if there's any sort of, yeah. Okay, yeah, 6.99. That's right. So as you can see, this bar ends up taking out the low. This bar ends up going outside down, right? So I believe, I don't remember what my price was. I want to say it was like 40,800, like on the dot, or something close to that, maybe like 48.20 or something like that. And I think as this comes down, I start, like, as we breach through the top and then reject, I wait for a little pullback. Oh yeah, that's right. I started buying a little bit high up here, like 40,870, and slowly started going down a little bit, and my stop ultimately was beneath this bar, this inside bar, and the prediction is we're just going to go straight up from here, right? So I was figuring that all of the pullback that we were getting after taking the high was a gift, that we're going to get an opportunity to buy lower, and then we're going to take profits up here. So I want to say the size was 6x, but it might have been 9x. I don't quite remember the position size. I want to say it's probably about between 6 and 7. I don't think I was going all the way up to 9x on this trade. But anyway, 1/3 of my position had a take profit of exactly 41,200. One take profit of my position was 40,400, and then the last one was in 41,600. And my stop for everything is underneath this bar. And like I was talking about earlier with the mark price, I did not have a mark price stop because Bybit allows you to choose whether you want to do mark price, last price, or index price, which I'm not really quite sure what the index price is. I have to get a little bit more familiar with that. But I did not adjust it, and so mine ended up being the last price. So when we ended up taking out this low, and I think my stop was at like 60 or 40,683 or something like that. This is actually me. 40,678.5 is me, is my position getting stopped out. And unfortunately, if I had not done that, I would not have been stopped out. I would, however, have gotten stopped out on this candle after getting 1/3 of my profit taken at this 41,200 level. I would not have gotten the whole thing closed. And I think this was, I don't think this was the best trade. I think it was a decent-ish trade. But I think the take profits I think it was a decent trade in the sense of, like, we had a good setup here. I do like the setup. I do like the small inside bar with nice conviction closing near its high. I do like that setup for sure. But the thing that I don't like is that we had a very clear spike in kind of channel situation setting up here. I think let me go to this one again here. Let's clear everything off. It's kind of clear that, like, we're getting kind of a channel-ish kind of situation going here. We have these 3 pushes, and these 3 pushes kind of start let me, by the way, put our line back here so that we know exactly which candle we entered on. We have these 3 pushes, so disorienting. 1 push, 2 push, 3 push, that kind of start a potential to go back to try and take a test of the low, but then that ends up being like this, two pushes down, and then we start this up, and then that ends up putting in yet another push down. So by the time you get that second push, like if you're gonna be eager about the buy, one push down, two push down, then this one should be a go candle, right? But the time has been so long, and we ended up still channeling that. When this comes down, yeah, at some point during this, we should recognize the sideways, all of the sideways consolidation that is really just making a lot of noise and really not putting in any convicted, convictive, is that a word? Convictive, impulses. Then that's kind of where we should recognize that, hey, this 41.4, 41.6, like a sustained push out is probably not going to work, and we are probably likely to get something like this, exactly what we were talking about on the 8-hour chart on this candle, like exactly this type of thing. Sideways consolidation, we will break to the upside, but the profit taking has to be immediate, and this will be potentially the final flag. So that's something that we should have, I mean, if we were able to remain in the trade, that's something that we should have recognized and probably moved majority of our profit taking to this 41,200 level slash when we get up here and we take some of it off and we start to see it come back down, we kind of shave the rest off around here. And if not, probably when, probably on this bar, right? Because when you get this bar, you are hoping that maybe this next bar will just be an inside bar and then continue pushing to the upside. And when you get this bar, you are hoping that we probably don't break the low and maybe we just kind of have like exactly this kind of setup bar next, and then this, and then we continue going up. And so when this bar's low gets taken out, that's probably when you can be like, okay, we're going to be out of here. And then it's basically a break-even stop. I'm not the biggest fan of break-even stops, but on this chart, it makes a lot of sense from a price action perspective. Nevertheless, we end up getting stopped out right here on this candle. And as you can see, that's the last candle before we pump. So that was very disappointing, very, very disappointing. But yeah, it was a kind of a decent trade, and then after that, I didn't get back in at all here. Probably could have or should have, I guess, but given that we were kind of stalling here and just continually bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. But as you can see, like I'm asleep like by this time, and I don't wake up until like this time, so I definitely miss all of that move while asleep. And I didn't want to see something like we BART because again, sideways consolidation, just like this, we have the sideways consolidation. It's reasonable that we come and do something like that. So yeah, that is the trade. It was a decent trade. I think the setup was fine. I think the setup was not bad. When this comes down outside down, I think it becomes very confusing for me. So I think it's fine that we end up not being in it. But yeah, this in hindsight, it makes sense that everything will exit here and then kind of push down to trigger the outside down bar. And then that trigger of that outside down bar ends up creating a trap that we never break out of. But like if I was to take this and keep the stop kind of at the same level to try and get this close, I think it doesn't. I think we would have probably had to move the stop to like down here, or perhaps started looking at this on a higher time frame, because on the 4-hour chart, this is just nasty, right? Like this outside down bar, you don't know where the frick we're gonna go. I think it's reasonable to feel, and especially like this is daily open, new day, and like you don't know how the day is gonna react. Maybe we're just gonna push down, and like I said, we are at the top of a trading range, right? So it's a little bit, you're a little bit nervous that maybe we're just gonna like maybe BART and then push down, or if we don't BART here, like from here, we just continue pushing down. So it's hard to put a stop here. Is basically what I'm getting at. So I think it's fine that we missed this trade. I think it's fine that we missed this pump. But yeah, it would have been cool to get. I just think that like I don't really know how I would have, because if I would have moved the stop here, I would have felt very nervous about all of this. But yeah, it would have worked out. But in this case, it didn't. So now I've moved my thing. I've learned my lesson. I'm only using the mark price stops. I think I have to study them a little bit more because, for example, like let's say when you have something like this and your stop is here and you use market price, it's very good, right? But when you have something like this and your stop is here and you miss it on this one, by the time the mark price gets here, you get stopped out down here. So in the case of a not immediate, like stop run, stop hunt and then continue upward, like it's very nice. But when it's not a stop hunt, like you have to make sure that you read this price action well enough to close it out by the time it gets back here before it just teleports through the low and you end up getting stopped out down here by the time the mark price catches up. So yeah, I'll have to study that a little bit. I may do a video about that at some point. But yeah, this is the trade. Decent setup. Sorry, decent setup. Um, Not the best management, obviously. I mean, there wasn't much management to do. Like, it's an inside bar trade, so really, you just have your stop is clear, and then you kind of have your profit targets, and you hope that you're going to get them. Could have had a little bit better recognition of the potential that we weren't going to have a sustained move, but I think after all of this, it was somewhat reasonable to expect that we might get a sustained move. So I'm not mad at the profit targets that I chose. I'm glad that I put a profit target at 41,200. I'm glad that I was able to recognize that one. But yeah, I'm not mad at trying to get a little to squeeze a little bit more juice out of it, especially after this follow through here, or especially after this massive spike here. And like the spike in channel, like this channel was very like short lived. So it's not even really like a spike in channel. It just so happens that this channels and then we have three pushes up, and so it makes sense that you can have like exhaustion. And when that exhaustion doesn't result in any down and it's just sideways like this, it's only natural that we're gonna have another pump to the upside. But yeah.